Okay, so before we begin writing the functions, let's just enable the features that we need inside our app. So if you just go to build and select authentication, then it asks us to get started. So we do that, and sign in methods, okay. And it shows you the user here. So authenticate and manage users from a variety of platforms. I don't think so we need to add any kind of a rule or something here. So this is good. Let's just see. I don't think so we need to add in some kind of a rule, but for storage specifically, which I got it from here itself, if we come here, we do start in test mode, we click on next, and let's just keep the whatever default cloud storage location they have given us. So we click on done. And hopefully it should finish in like one more minute, so we can continue to setting up the Firestore as well. So okay, meanwhile while it is being set up, let's just go to views, do command N to create a new SwiftUI view, and let's just call this AuthView. So I thought about this a bit, like we would obviously have sign up screen and the sign in screen. How about we create a combined screen for both of them? So I'm calling that auth view. Let's click on create, and this is there. We can delete the preview part of it. And okay, so our storage is now set up. How about we go to rules? And the reason why I'm going here is because it has a timestamp to it. So I think it says 20th of October. So how about we do that 2025. Can we do this publish? Okay. So now we have changed the rules to last till 2025 20th of October, which is a very long time. But I would suggest you make it like for about 2 months from when you start. So it would have a time frame for you as well, to for you to complete, I mean. So basically why I'm doing this is that you actually need to have the timestamp, like the rule must be applicable in order for you to make this functionality work. Suppose you have crossed this stamp, you got occupied with some work, and now after 1 month you are trying to build some things to your app, and you will notice that it's not allowing you. So sometimes you might have to troubleshoot this, like, because it don't explicitly say that your rules have expired or something, as far as I know. So that's why we are making this in a wide range, because like we don't want to end up having that problem. And since we have done authentication, storage, let's go Firestore database. Actually majority of our data would have be using Firestore database only. It's just that the storage part is for specifically for the images, and yeah, that's about it. Suppose if you want to, this project is set up to use this not sure about that. Go to Google Cloud Console, if I make sense. I don't really think so we need to do something here then. I mean, if we go to real-time database, but we won't really be using real-time database. We would only use Firestore database and storage and authentication. So let's just keep it this way. We'll see to it that what else we can do. And okay, so this is done now. Back to our auth view. So let's just start by giving it an observed object var view model, which would have our main view model. This is done. How about we add a Z stack to it and we add a color to it? So the color should be, meanwhile, for now, I mean, the color, let's keep it, we must be having this color pinkish orange, and we also do ignore safe area. So it covers the entire thing. And just to make this work, how about we go here, we do this. So now we have switched the views. So hopefully it would just actually show us the auth view now with the whole screen in some color like this that we have defined here. So let's just quickly see. And okay, so it's taking a few seconds to build up. That's fine, I mean. So yeah, so it covers the whole screen and this looks fine to me. But like the screen on its own looks a bit empty to me. I mean, it could do a lot better. So for that specific purpose, I had added these images into the asset section in the very first video, I believe. So the reason why I added all these images is that we could make use of them in the sense that let's just go to the view model, and here we would actually have some sort of an array I'm thinking about that we can like loop over so that we could have the whole, we could also do this one thing that inside our constants we should have command and a new file, let's call it images, and it should be a struct which is called images. Hopefully images is not a Apple defined library name. I think we only use image, so good for us. And we could do something like static let, and we could call it money image. And what would money image store? If we go to assets, we would see money is here. So we can copy this out, go back to images, because see, there could be a lot of type errors if you actually hard code the names at all places wherever you are using them. So that's why we are creating these static values to use. So let's just copy it, and I think I have 5 images in total. So let's do this 5 times, and one of them would be paint image, one of them would be hands image, one of them would be heart image, and one of them would be books image. And let's just go to assets. So there is paint, triple clicking on it, paint X. So if we go to our images structure, paint image would be paint X. We go to assets again, hands heart must be the, okay, so there are 2 hearts now, thinking banner must be the banner, so that is an easy one for us. Then there is a hand image and a hearts image, so we could just go to hands heart and put it in the hand image, and we could go to assets again, and there's heart, so let's just put it inside the heart image as well. And okay, this is done. So we just created a structure which have like 5 different static let properties. What does this static keyword lets you do is that now you can use the property directly on the type and not on an instance. So you could do something like this. So you don't need to declare an instance of the images structure to use these values. That's why we use static, and they only defined once in the memory. So it helps in a bit of a performance wise as well. So coming back to our auth view, what I was thinking is that if we add this property inside our view model that let images equals, and it would obviously let images equal, it would be an array. So we could have um, images dot money image. We could have images dot paint image. Let's just copy it for now. A 2 3. This we would have banner. Okay, why is it not coming? Images dot books image, images dot hands heart, images dot heart image. What else is left? Paint, hand, heart, books, money. Okay, this is done. So actually we added the banner thing here. Instead, let make this banner image, and we could then use it here. Cool. So I've created a structure, not a structure, yeah. So this images structure is basically letting us use all these names. So these are not hard coded anymore, and now we just created an array out of them. The whole purpose of doing all this was that now instead of just showing a pinkish background inside our auth view, we would actually go about creating a bit of a pattern over the whole view. So how we would do that is making use of geometry reader. So how geometry reader works is that it gives you a geometry value inside of it, and we can just do let width equals geometry dot size dot width, and let height equals geometry dot size dot height. Making use of these, we can just run a for loop now, and this for loop would be going from a range 0 to including view model dot images dot count. So now the ID must be something like self, because they don't really have an identifier or sorts, and we could have index in. So okay, this is all building fine up till now. Let's just do let image equals view model dot images, and go over each index. What we would do is we put that image inside a image wrapper, and we make it resizable obviously. Then we change the aspect ratio of it to content mode fit, because we want to show the whole pattern. We would add a rotation effect to it, which would have rotation effect should be in terms of degrees. So double dot random. So what I was thinking is that we would actually keep on rotating them as when the view updates itself. So in Swift UI, if you specifically know, when you use these properties like state and all, and even like the on change modifier, Swift UI actually renders the whole view again and again to update certain values. So for that thing, we are actually just using the rotation effect, because at one given point when I'm writing something inside the text field, it would have one random value between -30 to 30 degrees of rotation. But the moment I update my text field, the whole Swift UI view renders, so it will change the rotation again. So it would give us some kind of an animation thing which would keep on changing, so it would be very random. So I think it has okay, we don't have a position functionality for now, so I mean we need to add that here. So I'm just thinking about it, that should we do that right now, or okay, let me just go through this. If we have the images, then we have the rotation value and we could have something such as a function like random position, and let's take in an index for it, basically integer, and let's give it a size as well. Would be type cg size, because, and obviously it's a position, so it should have a cg point as a return value. So let's do let positions equals, and it should be an array. And what we could do is empty collection literal requires an explicit type. Okay, so we could create cg point out of some x value and a y value. So it would basically 0.1 times size dot width, and similarly for y as well, 0.1 times size dot height. So basically, if you remember the size we defined inside our geometry reader using the width and the height, we would be using that, and it should be random, right? Like, okay, so this is one position that we having like multiplied the width multiplied by 0.1 and this, but then we can have other positions. So what other positions we can have? What I mean by that is that this must be a certain point inside the coordinate system. So 0.1 from the x-axis, 0.1 from the y-axis, but then at the same time we could have 0.9 from the x-axis, or either we could have 0.9 from the y-axis, we could have 0.9 from both of them, or we could also have 0.5 from both of them. So these essentially marks the different coordinate system inside our view of the app. So basically one point must be somewhere here, then 0.9 and 0.1 here, 0.9 and 0.1 somewhere here, a middle of the screen as well, because 0.5, 0.5, and this is how all the positions are being created. So now we can just return positions. Could have positions, which would, what index should we have, and we could do positions dot count. So it just randomly has all these positions inside of it, and now what we are doing is we are returning a very specific position depending on the index provided to us. We take the positions dot count and we return the remainder of this functionality. So it just gives us a totally random position to us basically. So just going over here, now coming back to our thing, so we could actually do it some way like this: position, then we could have view model dot random position, and we would have index here, and cg size would be cg size with a width and a height. So we can give it a width and we can give it a height. So that must be it, and let's just do clipped, so that the images, even though the aspect ratio has changed and they are confined to this small space, the unseen part of the image, suppose it has to be clipped, it's too large, so it's not covering the entire screen. Basically, I have faced this issue with SwiftUI at some point of time. What happens basically is that if you have a very large image and you give it an aspect ratio and you like make it small in size, even though the image is being shown to you as small, internally is actually a huge image, and that causes some glitch with the UI also. So just for that purpose, clip we can use. And now that we have done this much, we can start by creating, okay, so let me just see that what all we would need for our auth view. I mean, we have created a background, and possibly we would have buttons as well. So let's just do command option and left arrow to fold this block of code. We create a vstack here, and obviously the vstack would have some sort of spacing. Let's give it a spacing of 16 for now, and it should have our email field, it should have our password field, it should have our action button, and it should have our toggle button. And like toggle for what? So basically toggle is for, suppose you are showing the user the sign up view, but the user is already a registered user, so they would need to use the sign in view. So basically the view which would ask them that do you already have an account, so go to sign in. So that I'm calling my toggle button. And basically there's the email field, password field, and the action button basically, which actually calls the Firebase function. So this much we have done, and how about we go and add padding. And now that we have done this much, we can have a frame here, and the frame should be like almost as the screen. So for that purpose we would use UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width, and we can multiply it by 0.75. So the reason why I did it because we don't really want our vstack to be edge to edge with the screen, so I'm giving it with some space with the sides. So this is done for now. Now how about we go to background, and we can add a rounded rectangle, and a rounded rectangle with a corner radius. Now I'm just thinking that do we need this rounded rectangle, but as per the, okay, I get the point that should we do this? So what UI I had in mind, and like what I have also like made in the sample, is that all the buttons are enclosed inside a rectangle. So that's the look I'm going for, and that's why I am doing this. So how about we add a corner radius of 20, and you will shortly see what I exactly mean. So we will add it a fill color UI color dot primary yellow, and it would have an overlay, not this overlay, just an overlay, and would also have a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of 20. And this time it won't have a fill, but it will instead have a stroke, and the stroke would be dot black plus line width of 4. So we have done this much. The background part is complete. All these fields would be enclosed, like they would have a background with a rounded rectangle on top of the screen. It just makes things a bit more, okay. So let's just run the app and see like what is going on for now. I mean, we must see something, not exactly a lot, but then let's just hopefully we'll see the screen with the art and stuff. Okay, yeah, so you see all the art and everything is like all over the place or something, and it is actually being cropped from here. So how about we actually add ignore safe area to it as well. So this way, either I was thinking how about we add ignore safe area to the entire Z stack. So will that solve our problem? I mean, it could possibly could. So let's just see. And yeah, it does. So this simplifies it. This is our block. Like suppose if we had 5 more buttons inside, it would look much more understandable right now. But okay, some progress has been done. And what else we could do? So since we are inside the Z stack for now, we have the V stack part here. And let's just quickly fold everything up so it looks concise. And we could add a condition here now. And what exactly will be the condition? So remember I added a toast view, and yeah, so basically now we'll make use of it. So it would be a published var toast show toast. That's about it, and it should be of the type boolean, and it should be false by default. Let's go here and add the condition that if view model dot show toast is true, we would actually call our toast view, and toast view takes in a message, and the message should be, again we need to keep it like dynamic for both the sign up and sign in cases. So let's add a published var toast message, and let's have it empty for now. So we would have view model dot toast message here, and we would give it a padding of top like 50 from the top. Let's give it a transition style so it looks kind of good when it comes up. It has a little bit of animation to it, and let's give it an ease in and out with a duration of like 0.8 seconds. So it's kinda I would say it's value of view model dot show toast. So basically the animation is also dependent on the same boolean value. So I think it would look decent enough now. So let's just go on to create the reusable views we are talking about. So this is the body property, this much is fine, and now we could actually have our reusable views here. So I was just thinking that okay, we have the Z stack and we have the body ending, and here we can add all the reusable views. So we can declare them private for now. So we would call them private var email text field, and it would conform to some view because it has to be a text field at the end of the day. So now let's just add property declares an opaque return type but has no initializer expression. Okay, it returns us to give us some view back to it. So quickly let's just add a text field here, and this text field will say email, and it should have a text property. What would be the text property bound to? So for that, let's just go quickly inside our view model, and let's name this auth purpose, simply adding a comment to differentiate between the toast message stuff and the other stuff. So let's call it published var email, and let's just give it a string value type. We would have published var password, which would be of the type string as well. And what else do we need? Let's just keep it to that for now. We would have a view model dot email, then we can have a foreground color to our text field, which would be black. And by the way, if you would have been noticing that I'm using foreground color and it is giving me that warning again and again that it would be deprecated, so in that case you could use the the foreground style. I think that's the name of the new modifier they have introduced. So that is fine. I mean, I have not added that because like I think for our specific iOS version it's still present, so not really an issue for our iOS version. But like suppose you're making it for the newest iPhones version, the newest iOS versions, then probably you would need to consider that thing, because in that case it would still work for the simulator I believe, but it won't really work in the case of newer iOS versions or in a real device or in production. So for background I was thinking that we could have dot clear for now. I mean, do we need something behind the text field? It's a bit of a question to ourselves only. So let's just give it a corner radius now for 10. I mean, we can look into it. If the UI seems fit, it's fine. But if it doesn't really look that good, we can add it. And let's just add a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of 10. And this would only have a stroke. And the stroke would again be of color black, then a line width of, let's say, 4. Let's say 4. And now that we have done this much, this feature that you have for text field is that you could have the keyboard type. So for that, I would be adding an email address keyboard type, and auto capitalization, if it's there, let's make it none because we don't want that. And disable auto correction, I guess it must be there. Auto correction true. So this much is done, and we have our email text field ready now. Okay, so it actually tells us that it reads a binding. So you could do this and it works. We could put in the email text field here in place of the email field. And now that we have done this much, let's just try running the app and see how does it look. So I would encourage you to actually follow this and try to complete the other text fields yourself, though it's not really a necessity for you. But I mean, okay, this works, and you notice that the animation moves and all, so it looks kind of funky and cool to me. So yeah, I was saying that we could actually continue making the views, or you could just stop the video and actually try to complete the other 3 yourself. So basically the toggle button and the action button would actually be similar to the sign out button that we made inside the main view, and the password field would actually be similar to the text field that we made just now. So meanwhile, if you want to do that, you could pause it and do it, and I would actually continue to complete this thing. So we would have again a private var password password text field, and it would also conform to subtype view, and then we would have an h stack. The reason why I'm putting this all inside an h stack, because a lot of login flows now have this small I button inside them, which actually allows you to show or hide the password. So for that purpose specifically, we're using the h stack. So how about if we do if okay, so we need some kind of condition to show either the password in a normal field like a text field, or if the password is hidden by that I button, it would actually be shown inside a secure field, which Apple provides us inside SwiftUI. So we could do this, we could create another boolean property basically, and we can call this is password visible, and we could use this there then. So how about if view model dot is password visible is true, we actually use a normal text field that would actually have the text as password, and then it would have the text property, which is the binding property, as view model dot password. This is all good. Then we would have the custom font the same as here, I guess. Or should we have something different? I mean, we can add the padding later on, and let's just not look into the background for now. So this much is there, and what happens if this condition is not true? We actually show the user with a secure field, and what secure field does is that it actually hides whatever is being typed into it. So it is very useful for the password functionality, and we could do view model dot password here again, we could have the similar things. How about we move the foreground color here? We can copy paste this, add this here. So now that we have done this much, we can have now inside the edge stack, we can have a button here now. So what does the button do is that it allows us to use toggle between the secure field and the normal text field. So we'll use is password visible dot toggle. So it would just keep on changing itself. And for the image purpose, like what would the button be like, we would use the system images from Apple. So basically the SF symbols. So just making sure that view model dot is password visible. If it's true, we would actually show the user with an I dot slash, which means that you want to hide it. And if password is not visible, we would show the user with an I logo, which would mean that you need to show it. So this is done. We add a foreground color of black here as well, and then we add a font weight of bold. So I think the password field is almost done. How about we give it a padding specifically from the right hand side, which means the trailing side, of 8, and we could actually give the whole edge stack a padding as well as some background color now, because the text fields are actually enclosed inside the edge stack. So it's better to give them all together rather than adding it individually to the text fields. So we could have clear as well here for now, and we can have a corner radius of 10, and we can have an overlay which would have a rounded rectangle like we did for our email text field. So basically a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of 10 with only a stroke, and the stroke would be of the color black, and a line width of 4. So this much we have done, and now we have the password text field ready as well. So we could add it there. Now we need to add the action button. How about we fold these two to make some space? We can delete one extra line here, and we can start with the action button for like calling stuff. So private var action button, and this way we would have some view. And how about we do a button which would have action and a label, and what else should be there? So now I'm thinking that for the action side of things, we could have view model. Let's keep it empty for now because we need to handle both sign in and sign out. So let's just keep it as it is for now. We can add the label, but so text would be, let's suppose say let's hard code it for sign in. Or how about we quickly go inside here, we copy this thing and say show sign in view. Now that we have done this much, we can go back and add the functionality at other places also. Basically I was thinking that for signing in and signing up, let's just give the buttons a bit of a different view. So where else we can like change the view for the buttons? So I was thinking for background color, suppose we have clear for now, but what if it's view model dot show sign in view, then it should have a background color of white, and if the sign in view is not being shown, it would have a background color of clear. And similarly we could use this ternary operator to give it a value of 2 or 4 on the basis of line width. So what line width it wants, we could use that accordingly. And similarly I think here inside background we could do this, and we can have white like this, And for the line width, we could have this 2/4. So basically, it would be a bit of a UI change in case the view switches from sign up to sign in. That's about it. So, and it's totally not like required. I mean, it's something just I'm doing because like the users will get to know that okay, there was an actual switch of views. For that purpose, I mean, giving it a bit of a differentiality thing. So totally not required, I would say, but yeah. So this much is there, and now I was thinking that since we have this in place, we could actually add inside our action button, we could have view model dot show sign in, and what happens is that if show sign in is there, so we would actually call if view model dot show sign in is true, we would call view model dot sign in, and if it is not true, we would call view model dot sign up, and we totally don't have any of these functions defined. So that is cool. I mean, we could just go to the view model inside and create these functions like sign out we have done, so it would be sign in, and for the other one it would be sign up. Okay, so now that we have done this, I think okay, the sign in is still not functional. Let's just see what. I think it should be working. Why is it not? Oh, I wrote the wrong spelling to it, I guess. So yeah, this much is done, and now we could, for the text also, we could have view model dot show sign in view. If it's true, then it shows sign in, but if it's not true, it actually shows sign up, which makes sense. Like if you are on a sign up page, the button should show sign up. We would have a font here which would be of the type custom, and obviously it would be fonts dot bold, and let's give it a size 18, so keeping the size, the design language consistent across the app, the font weight which we don't really need. I have this habit of adding the font weight regardless, I don't know why. So let's just go for foreground color, and we can have view model dot we don't really need that show sign in thing, right? I mean, no, let's just keep it consistent, so let's just do black for now. And other than that, we need padding, obviously. Other than that, we need frame with a max width of infinity. And what else we need? We need a background color, obviously, and the background color would be gray, or let's just say white. I mean, the system gray is kind of bad, so let's just go with white. The corner radius would be 10. Then let's give it an overlay like every other element that we have done here, so there would be a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of 10 with only a stroke. The stroke would have black color, and the line width needs to be 2 only, or you could add this thing here as well. So this much as I have done. And okay, so I just remembered that you actually have this functionality in SwiftUI to make a button disabled in certain boolean conditions. So basically what we could do is we could write a small functionality for checking if the user is putting in a valid email to this text field, and if the regex that we put in verifies that the email is a valid email, we could actually have we could actually have the, let's keep the opacity as 1, so we could actually change the state of the button. So suppose in the background we could make it gray, then the foreground can also become gray or something. The opacity can be lowered to show the user that the button is actually in the disabled state, And obviously we can add the disabled modifier here as well, marking it as disabled so the function call will also not be made in case a wrong email is being entered. So this much is done. Now we can add the action button here as well. And finally we need to add the toggle button now. So let's just go to the toggle button. It should be a private var toggle button, which would have some view. And actually I feel like it would have a lot of similarity with our above button. So about we copy paste this entire thing, and obviously the functionality would be to toggle the view. So view model dot show sign in view dot toggle. And how about, let me just go through things once. So yeah, this is fine. And how about we don't really need the text here like this, because it should say something like don't have an account sign up. And at the sign up page it should show already have an account sign in. And what else should we change? So the background needs to be white, which is already there. The corner radius 10, rounded rectangle there. There should be some top padding. Let's reduce it a bit. I just wanted to separate the buttons from the text field. That's why I added the consistent padding of 20 for the top, but we don't really need it other than that. So let's just use the toggle button as well, and let's just see our functionality in place, like how does it all look. So what are the things that are pending? Actually we need to have this valid email check functionality for our text fields. We need to write the actual functions, and also in the core file of our application we actually need to switch between the main view and the authentication view depending on like whether the user is signed in or not. So we could use the Firebase functionality for that. They have this auth functionality. So okay, there it asks for an email password, it gives you the sign up functionality and says already have an account, sign in, don't have an account. Okay, so I think I misspelled this thing right here. So it should be already have an account and don't have an account. And yeah, this seems fine. So let's just don't have an account. So this seems fine, and let's just check it once more. So yep, this is all good. We have the email password, and if I just start to write something, it's in secure field, I want to see it, I want to hide it, and we can add the email here. Could be anything for now. This whole thing is moving as well. We have all this change functionality, which gives it a bit of a different colorway in case it's on a different screen. So okay, this much is done. Now I will see you in the next video where we'll continue to complete this whole functionality by finally adding the functions and the valid email check, and just making sure like which screen shows up in case a user signs up or signs in. Is it the main view or is it the auth view? We need to check that also. Okay, so I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.